The recording has started. Okay.
Good to go?
Chair.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. I need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
A second?
All right. And next, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes of October 13th.
So move.
A second.
All right, moving right along. Business arising, so Drew's joined us today. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Thank you.
Committee.
So Drew was appointed, formally appointed by council on recommendation from the committee at the last meeting. So welcome, Drew.
Thank you.
Drew is a municipal business owner and resident. Yeah,
Right.
and new husband.
Yes. Yes. Appreciate it.
Lots of different roles.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Introductions.
Yes.
Yeah, we could do a
Let's do that
round table of
first.
introduction. Jay, you want to start, Heidi?
He knows me.
I was like your second mother.
All
Yeah.
right, there you go.
Drew knows me too, but I'm Economic Development Officer here and mainly do development stuff here at the municipality.
Awesome.
And your name, just.
Oh,
for
Jill.
public.
Yeah.
Warren McLeod and customer.
And we just met on Warden Penny for the municipality of Shelburne.
Awesome.
Andrew Locke, Drew knows me as well. I'm the chair on the committee.
Megan, I know Drew, Realtor and passionate community member.
Beautiful. Hi, Drew. So I'm Sherry Thorburn for District 3 Councillor, and we know each other. Yeah.
Your turn.
Oh, Val Payne, Director of Economic and Community Development for the municipality of Shelburne, and I'm the staff resource to the committee. And also, just to clarify for your own knowledge, Jill, Warren, and myself are non-voting members at the table, and Sherry is an alternate, so is only a voting member when one of the other three councilors are away.
Okay.
So you'll find that in your terms
Yes.
of reference in your
All right.
binder.
And I'm Dale Richardson, representing District 6, and pleased to be on the committee. Welcome.
Awesome, thank you.
Great, all right. Anything you want to say, Drew?
I'm Drew Jacklin. I've owned Coastal Tales Dog Daycare for probably 3.5 years now, and me and my wife Courtney, that's just what we do, honestly.
Right on.
It's just life, and that's we enjoy it.
Good for you. All right, next under business arising, meeting accessibility. Is that something you're gonna talk about?
Yes, sorry, I was just trying to change the view of our recording so that it was showing the room bigger, but I can't seem to figure out how to do that. So, on that note, so it was included in our update of our terms of reference that we were going to attempt to make these meetings as accessible as possible to the public. I did attempt to go live with this meeting, but because it's a new YouTube account, it put a 24-hour hold on my initial request to do a live. So we shouldn't have that problem next. I've put in the request that this channel can go live, and hopefully we're all good to go there. But in the event that we can't go live, we're always going to be recording and putting on our YouTube channel, which is accessible through our website as well. So I just wanted to talk. I thought I was going to be telling you we were live, but unfortunately I couldn't navigate through that for that 24 hours. So, and we also do have the virtual link that anybody can email me and get that virtual link. So all of that has been on our website, and we are navigating through that. So our next meeting, just so everyone's aware, we will hopefully be live and going forward. So.
Okay. All right, strategic planning. Municipalities a draft of the strategic plan, some feedback on that?
Yes, I'll let the CAO and councilors take that one.
Yeah, so as you know, we've been going through the process with the strategic plan. So we've had our public engagement, which has taken the form of town hall meetings plus online surveys. We've also had one-on-one stakeholder meetings between our consultants and the various stakeholders and community groups within the community. They presented a draft strategic plan to council and to the public at the last meeting. And they invited council and the public to then provide feedback to that plan. That closed on Monday at 5 o'clock. And the consultants are now going to basically prepare a draft, a second draft, or I should actually say final strategic plan that'll be presented to council. I've forgotten the date, but it's coming up, I think the 26th, I think is the date that's in my mind. And that'll be the chance for final tweaks, I guess you could say. It's one of the common sort of feedbacks that has come back. When you look at the plan, it's got a number of sort of layers to it. The first is what we call pillars. So we've got 5 pillars, which are environment, community, economy, infrastructure, governance. Below that, we have priorities. And then below the priorities, we have objectives. And so one of the pieces of feedback we got is, well, what are the action items? And so there was a whole list of sort of action items coming from the public. We're not going to put those into the strategic plan because staff haven't had a chance yet to sort of identify what the budget ramifications are for the action items. So it's going to be a 2-phase project. Part of the final plan that you'll see will be an addendum with a list of KPIs. KPIs are like projects, let's call them that. And the next phase will be, once we've got the final plan in place, council will be meeting with staff, accessible to the public as well, in which we're going to have a complete comprehensive list of all of the projects. So these are the projects that we currently have in our economic model, projects that staff are going to be wanting to take to council for budget that will be new to council that council haven't seen, and then a whole list of projects that the public would like to see. Council will then basically go through that and start to identify in their minds what are the priorities, and then give instruction to staff as to which of those priorities we should go away and start putting some numbers together for the budget deliberations. Those will begin in the new year. And we'll have one of those mammoth meetings from the morning right to dinner time where council and the public can go through the budget together, starting with what we call our core services, which are all of our operating GLs, and then go through all of our projects, which are really the strategic plan projects. And then that process actually occurs over a number of meetings. So that's the process going forward. Are there any questions at all?
So I just want to highlight on top of that is particularly, obviously, the pillars that lead to economic development and social and community benefits. Those are the projects that are going to run through this table. So I don't know if anybody's had a chance to really read that document, but they are the consultants. I've made them aware of this meeting. They're going to be watching the recording. It's a really good opportunity for particularly the community members to have some insight into what council's economic development strategic plan is, because that is going to directly, you guys are going to have to align the objectives of this table with that plan. So once we have that plan finalized, you'll use that, and those action items will all be what's running through this, where you'll have that input on those projects and have your involvement and say in those projects. So now is the opportunity, like within like the next, like tonight, if you want to have the conversation at the table. I don't know if everyone's had a chance to look through it in detail. I did share it with you the other day. If not, like if you can get back to me tomorrow, we can send that feedback to the consultants. If there's anything that's missing, is there anything you need us to elaborate on? Is there anything that you suspected that you'd be working on here at this committee that's not maybe in there or being addressed? Now's the time. So council will only have the one other comment period on it, and so now's the time to really put your input in there. And make sure that you're working on the things that you want to work on, and that council's aware of what you guys want to see in their strategic plan, so. Okay, so our objectives from the table will have to align with that plan. So. I think that's everything, but it is super important that you have a look at it and try to give me a little bit of feedback. Hopefully, most of it is what you're thinking it is, so. Did you have a comment?
No, I'm just,
Okay.
we didn't read it.
Oh, okay.
Feeling guilty.
It's okay, it's a busy time of year, I know, it is a busy time of year, but if you could have a look through it tonight and just send all of your feedback to me, and I'll get it off, but it'll have to be like tomorrow, like you
Yeah,
have to get it
tonight.
to them so that they can prepare that final draft for council, so.
If you wanted to, I could just quickly
Yeah, you
read
can-
off like the economy section. So we've got, one of the pillars is economy. We've got economic diversity here. Objectives are identify and assess underutilized or previously developed sites within the municipality that could be revitalized to support community growth and development. B, prepare the market municipal property to attract investment through mapping, reviews, and targeted consultant. The second priority was housing development. The objectives were develop a community improvement plan to support housing development through various planning tools and financial incentives. Conduct a housing needs assessment to support decision-making and guide land use planning. The next priority was workforce development. The objectives were 3A, work with local employers and organizations to establish educational partnerships and grants for emergency and high-need industries. Conduct a workforce and community needs assessment to determine how to best support recruitment and retention of working professionals. And C, work with strategic partners to expand cell phone, broadband, and technology infrastructure that enables remote and hybrid work.
You might have some interest in recreation and social,
Yeah,
I think, as well.
I do want to talk about timing just quickly. Val just touched on it. We met with the consultants today. Try and get your feedback on this to Val by tomorrow, because they're really jumping on it right now. So if you think we're missing something in here that's key, really sleep on that tonight and then get those suggestions to
We have a
Val.
pretty light agenda. We can dive into the conversation. It's a good, this table is a good venue for having these larger discussions because they are being viewed by the public. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about here at the table tonight, if you see something in there, then we can hash that out here and answer any questions, because I'm sure your questions will probably be similar to those of the public, so. If there is.
I think we've had several conversations surrounding a lot of these.
Yes, we have.
Particular
Yeah.
points and whatnot here in our meetings.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident that stuff.
Yeah, and staff had input into that, and some of it of interest as well. If you're going to provide feedback, go have a look at the What We Heard report. So that's the report that was done up from what the public gave for feedback. So, have a look at that report and see, make sure that you feel like we're aligning with what the public really wants. So, yeah.
I was just going to say, coming from NSFM and everything we've heard from the feds, it seems like the government's in hurry up mode. Housing being one of them, any large, projects, and they're looking for shovel ready. So timing is, I think, essential. And the sooner we can get something on track, I think the better possibility we have. Showing up late, usually you end up with them sitting around with empty pockets, and just that up front, that's what I perceived anyhow.
But I think the main, go ahead.
Just to the CEO, do we have a lot of feedback from the public?
Yeah, we did get quite a bit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that would be this kind of pie graph, would be?
So this is actually feedback on the actual plan. So that's the feedback we got that
And the initial
that
consultation.
created the plan, but now we actually got a bunch of feedback on the actual plan itself
draft
over the
plan.
last couple of weeks. So we actually got like a much better response than I expected, actually, so.
That's excellent.
That's good. That's
Good,
what-
good, because we were worried about the not enough responses. So the initial consultation led to this draft document, and then the council put this draft document out for comments, and I think that's what you're saying, is we got more comments the second
Yeah.
time. around,
And
which is
initially, I was
great.
disappointed with turnout.
Yeah.
Were there comments that came in, more people had the same comment about the plan? Were there any topics of
I don't
interest?
think it's been reviewed. Yeah.
Of note?
The one thing I'd say is that there is quite good alignment between the public comments and the councillors' comments, which is a really positive thing.
Absolutely.
It means that there seems to be a broad spectrum, that we're going in the right direction. To be honest with you, Andrew, there's like a long list of sort of specific projects that people would like to see.
Right.
So that's going to be the challenge at the meeting, once the final report's done, where council actually has to sit down and actually do the most difficult thing, and that's prioritize them. Because we only have so much staff time, only have so many resources. Not everything's gonna make it, right? Some will fall by the wayside, but,
Yeah.
and that is the challenge of being a councillor, is you have to make those hard decisions, so.
Right. You have to pick the ones that will best suit the most people, I suppose.
Yeah.
And have the most benefit.
That's
for
what I meant
all.
to say.
Yeah.
For most.
We are putting it through a priority spectrum, so the councillors are trying to identify, of all the feedback we got, which ones should be given more priority when council looks at, based on the number of responses that you get for one particular topic. And if you get 6 people on that one topic, well, then that should be a high priority, because you're getting a lot of repeat on that.
Right.
So they are putting a
Yeah.
it was actually quite complicated how they were going about it. So it should give council a pretty good indication of where the public are leaning.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I mean, I like the pillars. They align with some of my workload that I've got going on. Anyway, the climate change, the economic diversity, obviously. The workforce one was a newer one that we haven't dabbled in. We've always seen it there, but I mean, that one's one that would come across the table for how we can better advocate for and support increased workforce and increased workforce training opportunities, and how we are mingling in with the NSCC to make all that happen. And so I see a lot of work at this table to do those things, which I think is very exciting, and it's very informative for it's a very good venue for this to happen, because we are getting views on our meetings, which is great. We have some public here tonight, which is great. And so.
We also, I think it's important to point out, we also have some very long-term objectives or projects that people want to look at. And one example would be like a recreation center. So it's not something we can do in 4 years, which is, it's a 4-year plan, but we can certainly get started on it, doing public consultations and, doing studies and that type of thing. So these long-term projects, we can at least get moving on. The funding's not going to be there anytime soon, but at least we can have the plans ready, so that if funding is available in the future, we've got them ready to go.
Yeah, I think one of the most important components of all of this is how we're going to partner with other municipalities, with the province, with the feds, nonprofits. That's how we're going to make things happen, I believe. We can't do everything on our own. It takes all of us together to be successful. So I'm looking forward to that, for sure.
I should jump in on there. One of the items that's in there is talking about amalgamation and joint services board. So just so you're aware, all 5 of the councils in the county have agreed to set up committees. One committee for investigating amalgamation. That's the 3 units here in Eastern Shelburne. And then all the 5 units are setting up a committee to look at a municipal joint services board. So the idea is, what common services can we have in this independent entity that we can basically sort of go to the menu and choose from services. So those investigations are going to be operating in parallel. And I guess that goes towards Penny's point of collaboration and working together. So
That's good. Positive news.
To outline some of the, I think, things in the future is, of course, new technology and new ways of doing things. And green energy is going to be, I think, coming full force. I mean, we haven't in past dealt a whole lot with whether it be windmills or solar. And that's a whole field that, you know, locally there's probably, we could stand expertise in. And again, the other one being, I think, food security. We keep saying we're the banana belt, but there are ways and means of producing food 11 months of the year at least, easily. It's just a willingness to go out and do it. And I think with the way prices are and the insecurity of shipping and everything else, a lot of that we're depending on international, and it's not working out too well these days. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there if we can tap into it.
And I'll just mention, if you don't mind, Chair, not you, I meant you. I did attend, so we're working on a project with the Clean Foundation, where the AIM network is doing some data collection on climate change. And I mentioned this because it is in the plan. Just as note, and I don't have final anything, it's just draft. I've seen the preliminary mapping for flood risk, coastal flood risk on our infrastructure. And just want to note that the 103 highway at 3 different intersections in the Sable area from Port Jolly, where it goes really close to the coastline and you're almost just past the county line, and then the 2 bridges in Sable are at risk of being impacted or impeded or taken, you know, out with to high tides and coastal erosion. And so there is going to be a spot too for advocacy too, because that's provincial infrastructure, and that impacts the whole Southwest Nova, because there's no, at all 3 of those points, there's no way around. So it's of a lot of concern, and the other municipal units are in that meeting as well. So just the staff, it was just a staff meeting. And yeah, so I'll bring that data once we have it finalized to this committee, because it's quite eye-opening. We didn't have a whole bunch of municipal infrastructure that was impeded at all, a little bit down in the industrial park, nothing major. But those 3 touch points on the 103 were very concerning.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not just the environment, it's a bad accident can take them.
Yes, that's
And we have no way around, and we found that out during the wildfires.
And we've been talking
in
about it for years,
Yeah.
trying to find an
A
alternate.
way.
Well, then the 203 highway is probably another topic that's going to come up. And
Yeah,
so emergency management may, although it's not going to be maybe an objective of the table, it's probably going to come up, because that's going to greatly impede economic, just the economic viability of the area. If you can't get goods and services in here, or at risk of not being able to get goods and services in here, that's a major.
Sadly, Public Works did not see the 203 as a priority for upgrading in their 5-year plan, despite what happened in the wildfire.
and we did advocate for that. I
Yeah,
that's-
recall
yeah.
us sending a letter
Yeah,
regarding
really
that.
disappointing that.
Like the tin line route.
Even with, because I think the tin mine, isn't it real, like there's something going on up in the Kemp.
We hear all
It's not
kinds
in
of
the
rumors.
It's not in the municipality of Shelburne.
No, I mean,
It's in
the lithium exploration's way over in Yarmouth. It's not
Yeah.
by the old tin mine, although the claims cover that area, but the actual project's
Oh,
more
okay.
Yarmouth way.
Okay, interesting. So I just wanted to mention that because it's in the plan. So, and there's also like event support and stuff in there, like continuing to do some of those social things and community development. So all of those things you'll see come through this table. So really exciting, and hopefully we can get it right and have a good alignment with the objectives of council at this meeting. So.
All right. More comments on the strategic plan?
I'll mention one kind of cool thing. One of the things in there is like talking about water security. And we actually do have a meeting lined up on Monday to talk to a company called Anika Water out of Quebec. And they make desalination units. So we actually talked to the town about it today, and that is looking at the possibility of desalination units in the harbor to provide an alternate source of fresh water. Because the Lake Rodney got down to 5 feet this summer. And all that was holding that 5 feet in place was a beaver dam. So having like a secure alternate source of water is something that we're exploring. Don't know if this technology is there yet, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see. I think.
Something to explore.
Well, there
for sure.
definitely is desalination units. I'm not sure on the volume.
They're doing a
Yeah.
pilot right now in Barrington.
Yeah,
They
they're doing a
have
pilot in
the last
Barrington
couple of
right
years,
now.
yeah.
And they've got different units at different scales, and they can also scale it up by having a number of units. And then and they're powered by solar, and they feed like an online facility. So you basically have a big cistern online with a pump station onshore, sorry.
Is there any consideration given to other freshwater sources ahead of that?
Well, we're not the managers of the water utility, that's the town. I'm not aware that they have, I don't think they've done any studies on like Lake George, anything like
That's what I was
that.
thinking.
That's the one
Yeah, well, it's the closest one.
I look at the one in Lockport and
Hayden Lake.
Hayden Lake, and even with what small demand they put on that one, they were still cutting back and being aware of what they had. So, I mean, if we experience droughts like we had this summer, again, I mean, consistently without large snowfalls, we are going to be in trouble for water sources.
Going to be proactive in this.
And we don't have a real big one. I'm thinking of the rivers, and they were pretty well dry.
It was so nice to see them fill up
Yeah.
this last week. He's like, oh, wow.
I'm just starting to this week, my water come back up. Like it took a long
Scary,
time. It took a long time.
Hayden Lake supplied Clearwater too, so with the downsize and the production that's happening at Clearwater, it's probably,
Hell,
helped keep that.
But in the short term, the town are going to be presenting a staff report to our council on a water station in town, probably. They haven't decided on a location, but the idea is something similar to what they have in Yarmouth, where you drive up, pay for the water, and you have the option of filling a big tank or even just a small water container. So something that everybody has access to, and pay as you go, so to speak.
So the fire department provides that service this summer.
They did,
They did.
and so
But this would give a better measurement, so when the town has to apply for provincial funding to help in those emergency situations, they right now have no measurement of that, so this would help with that. It would make it accessible to everyone, but it would make it accessible outside of emergency situations as well. So anybody could access it at any time, and then they could reduce or eliminate like in an emergency situation, they could reduce or eliminate the charge, but then still have that metered going so they can tell what was, so then they
So you
supply
have
to
the
the
data.
province. Yeah, so I think their intent right now is to build a proposal, ask for support from the municipality, and then lobby the province's new drought committee. There was some type of
Drought
committee
committee.
established for the province to come in and pay for this station or help pay for this station in partnership with all the municipal units. So it was a good idea. I don't think they haven't got the whole proposal done, but as a baseline,
they're
it's
working
good.
on it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just, I'm thinking about people that are on, say, town water. If that service wasn't available as for some whatever reason, it'd be unfortunate that they would have to pay more for water, or anybody would have to pay more.
So anybody on
Nice if they
town,
continue.
anybody on town water would not, I
Yeah.
would imagine would have to utilize it because.
No, they wouldn't, but
It'd
if,
be the same.
we'll
it'd
say
be the
like.
Same
source.
water source.
Yeah, same motion, okay, fair.
in
But I think-
emergency
Yeah,
situations, I
they probably
believe,
eliminate
they
it.
pull that charge
That was my
and
question.
open it. It's a matter of metering. What they want is, again, the data to be able to go back and say X amount was used, and not only that, the cost associated with that.
And then you can ask.
If it was
the
an
province.
emergency situation, for instance, drought, they would say maybe half of the use is drought related and therefore be written off. So it's just a way of measuring exactly
We need
the,
the data.
yeah. And again, it may revert back and say, maybe we should be looking at Lake George in a system there, if it's warranted.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to new business. First off, is the Nova Scotia Pumpkin Regatta.
So I just wanted to bring that across the table as kind of a bragging moment for the Shelburne Events Committee and to highlight the economic drive of that event. So obviously, like you were there or in town at the time, you've seen what happened, and it probably doubled or tripled in size. We are trying to get some, if data's out there, to try to get some of the Google datas, maybe that can give us an idea of how many people were there. It's a good baseline event because there was no weather interruption. So it's your ideal situation and what did that do? And then we can measure growth over time. So that would be really nice. But the spinoffs from, like we're now included in a book that's been written about Nova Scotia. We're being compared to Canada's most unique fall festival, not just Nova Scotia's most unique. So the media attention around that has really garnered some bragging rights for this community, and I think it's not only helping with that event, but now we're making a name for ourselves that we do events right, and now, I mean, Robin has just this afternoon 38 floats registered for Miracle on Dock Street. We've had to extend the street closure over to Roseway Chrysler, so we need more space. Last year we had 20-ish floats, so that's just shows. So it's showing you the community pride that those events are garnering as well, which is really important. So I just thought it was a good time to kind of brag about that and really highlight, because we talk about it a lot, but to really highlight the economic drive from that.
Oh, we've seen people from everywhere.
The accommodations were full, and it's a really multi-generational event, so you're getting in all kinds of people from, families from, and agricultural is a real, it's more of a, I don't know how to say it, but it's more of like older people do kind of lean into that agricultural aspect. So we're getting such a wide variety of attendees to those events. So, and we were able to, we think we're on the right track to reach our goal, which was always to get more people growing and more people involved in the agricultural side of it. We had a growers event where we had new growers, growers who used to do it, who want to get back into it, and then our regular growers just sharing ideas and sharing information and sharing seeds and soil, tips and all of that. So that was very well attended, and Robin's going to host another one in the spring to talk about growing your pumpkins. This one was more, although we talked about everything and growing your pumpkins, it was more about getting your soil ready and getting prepared to grow a pumpkin, and then we'll do another one. So that was always the goal, that we're not bringing pumpkins from the valley, that we're able to do this sustainably in the community. So really exciting stuff.
Just linked to that, we actually just signed an agreement today with the province. So the province has started a program, and they've selected, how many communities in Southwest Nova? I think 6 or 7 communities. Ours is one of them, where you can pick 4 geographical spaces. We've selected the arena, Dock Street. I can't remember what the other 2 are, but
Trails.
Trails. One of them that we're going to do is we're going to retroactively look at the Pumpkin Regatta, and what this program does, it's all publicly available cell phone data. So you can see where people have come from, what they did in the town on that day during the Pumpkin Regatta, where they went to, and where they left to.
Within that parameter. It's not going to give you their whole travels, but it'll.
So there's no privacy issues. There's it's no personal data or anything like that. But it's going to be a really valuable sort of tool in terms of who's coming and what they're doing when they get here. And that's a provincial program, and so we jumped on board that program right away. So.
Did you see more
I was gonna
foot
ask
traffic
that
in your
question, did you?
store?
I was going to say, our store, I wasn't around that day. As a matter of fact, I was away. We planned, but it was a really busy day. Sarah's at the store, the store was full all day, so. yeah.
Were you at school?
Thanks
Yeah.
to the municipality
Yeah,
for that.
beautiful.
Anecdotally, we were told that, like one of the restaurants in town said, it's not only my busiest day this year, it's the busiest day since I've opened.
Yeah.
And we've got that feedback from other ones. So this one was we obviously didn't expect that many people, so we have some, you know, the budget's gonna need to grow.
Maybe we can
and-
expand it to 2 days.
Oh, God, don't say that to my other table.
Wait till spring to bring that up.
So we will be looking for more volunteers. We will be looking, you know, asking, because the town does support that event as well. So the town and municipal councils will have to, you know, look at their investments in increasing that. But because we have to be able to deliver. If we've tagged ourselves Nova Scotia's Rural Event Destination, people are trusting us that we're delivering on those. And for me, the pride in the community around those events is amazing, right? You're building pride in your community. You now have an economic driver. All of our accommodations were full months in advance, like months out. So it's really, and Wheel of Fortune is sending a prize winner to the area, and he has claimed the prize. So, so he is coming. So once if he, you know, when he comes, we'll be aware and we'll make sure we host them around properly. But yeah, and that's all free. Like that's all just free promotions and organic traction that we're getting. So.
The discussion we had at our events table was, we figured there was approximately 3,500 people to that event in that one day.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And it was
really
nice,
exciting.
like, too, because I remember, like, just seeing everybody to go on the waterfront, but then they're checking out the stores
Yeah.
along
Yeah.
the street, too, is good.
Yeah, and the ending times was perfect for them to stay in town and get supper, and it ended at 4, so it was perfect. Everyone was super busy and it was great. So we have some parking stuff to work out, we have some bathroom stuff to work out, we have some viewing stuff.
These are all good issues to
Sound,
have.
like we
right?
have some work to do, but the committee's on top of it. Yeah, so we're super excited about that, and we're super excited of the spin-off effect of our other events now growing because of that, so.
Yeah. And as you're speaking, Val, like I can very distinctly recall the conversation that we had when we were talking about economic development a number of years ago, and us saying, you know, one of the things that we can do is support different events and make them signature events. And instead of having 10 events, have quarterly events or something like that, that we could do really, really well.
Yeah.
And
We
so
are doing
I'm pretty proud
Mission
of
accomplished.
staff and the events committee that, you know, that it's really coming to fruition. I think the whole desire that we had when we had that first discussion on,
The weather
you know, how do
networks.
we do this and how do we make it a success and get our name out there? So I'm very proud of council and staff and the
Talking
events
about
committee.
volunteers, we have 2 big, strong guys here. And we are looking for volunteers to carry people into the pumpkins.
I feel like my son told me you wanted to row, you wanted to race this year.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing it
It's
next
like-
year, yeah.
He's like, Mom, Drew was saying he wanted to do it next year, so. But yeah, really exciting, and that event will continue.
You're gonna have to have a
grow,
dog in the pumpkin with you.
Yeah.
that would be cool.
What's his name? What's your dog's name?
John Wayne.
John Wayne, yeah.
There you go.
Well, you think even with these events, how they are growing, when I think of like all of the decorations with the different businesses this year as
The
part of the
scarecrows
Pumpkin
and stuff,
Regatta.
yeah.
And now when we talk about Miracle on Dock Street, and I think we're gonna have
Snowman.
Yep.
snowmen and women around and things,
Okay,
so
nice.
I think that's just.
Sarah
it's
signed you up, so
Awesome,
you're aware.
you know.
I was
It just
gonna say-
adds- It just adds so much to the events,
I know,
you know,
it's
just,
great.
it just brings it up another level,
Well,
so.
and it brings down the, like, we've put a priority on marketing our community for a couple of years now. And
Yes.
they get major traction,
Yeah.
and things like this in the community pride that you're building, you're seeing less and less comments on there about, you know, how maybe a local feels about, you know, so you're instead getting good and positive feedback on the videos, and less of the negative comments. You're not really seeing them anymore. So people are happy about having pride in those events, and we do that, right? So,
Absolutely.
And I think Miracle on Dock Street in itself, you know, towards Christmas, I think it's fantastic also.
Yeah,
It's-
agreed.
it hasn't built as quickly, but it will build.
Yeah.
I really have faith in
When
it.
Hallmark does their movie from
Yeah.
there on the.
Yeah.
I've heard at least 3 times. I
Yeah.
haven't seen this
Yeah.
many people in Shelburne since Princess Diana visited.
Oh,
And that was, I heard that 3
I heard
times.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what I
I
heard 3
remember.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
I was really young, but I remember, was it the late 80s or early 90s that she
It would have been like
It
mid-80s.
It was
I think.
80s.
84, 85.
Yeah,
We were like-
Isn't that plaque down
Princess
by
Di,
Yeah.
the door shop there?
Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
so I don't know if I remember it from stories or remember it from
Yeah.
memory, but at least 3
There's always
times I heard that. I haven't seen as many people since Princess Diana.
Wow.
You have to get a Diane lookalike to walk around. And
Yeah. And just as another note, all of that media attention with, besides the one thing that we partnered with Nova Scotia Tourism on, it was all free. There was never any, we didn't even know they were gonna be there. And the Weather Network has actually spoken to raise a pumpkin next year.
Oh, that's great.
And the committee is also looking at ways to monetize the event, like auction off the pumpkins or, do different things so that the cost isn't always bared solely by the municipal units. So, vendor spots and so, they're fighting over vendor spots now because
I know.
it's
There's
a
just a certain
lucrative
amount
event,
of
so.
smooth
So
there.
we can look at opportunities to monetize in different ways so that the cost isn't bared totally by the municipal units and it's still free for our residents to attend. So we're
Yeah.
looking at that now.
Excellent. Hats off to the events committee and all the volunteers as well.
Yay, Robin, I should say. 100%.
She makes us all look good.
She does.
We just do what she says.
That's right. That's what she says. Val's not to know her of anything.
All right, is that everything on the pumpkin regatta?
It is.
All right. So we got some information on the Harts Point property and easement, I guess?
Yep. So if you can imagine the Harts Point property, the old railway bed comes through the property and then out the other side. And on the western side, the Anglican Church had negotiated an easement with DNR to get from the property to the Harts Point Road. And so we actually had a meeting today with DNR about looking at getting an easement from Islands Park Road down the eastern side to the property to access it there. So you've got access on both sides. And so they were giving us some tips and pointers on how to pull an application together. So there's some GIS work we need to do. We're going to be doing the LiDAR work. The local offices offer to take a look at our application before we actually put it in to give us some advice on what we can do to make it better or sort of hit the key points. They'll also run it past, before it goes in, they'll do a quick pass on endangered species to make sure that there aren't any endangered species impacted by the easement. And then we'll put the application in. So I anticipate we'll probably put that application in springtime sometime. We'll need to do the GIS work between now and then. Val will need a little bit of budget that you'll talk to council about during budget to do that GIS work, and then away we go.
I have a question. Are there any regulations in regards to the size of a development or a project in that it may require 2 exits? Like you're working on this easement. Are there regulations that say, you need
Yeah,
2
like
ways in? And
Yes, so now with their new land use bylaw documents, you'll have to have 2 accesses for fire emergencies and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But we already had the easement on the other end. Too. So
You're allowed, how many is it before you have to have the 2 exits? 2?
What are you asking?
Like, how many lots?
Yeah, I think it's
I think it's
2 to 4?
I
4.
think it's 4.
I think it's
After
4
5,
also.
you have to
Yeah,
have.
I
Yeah.
do think
And the
it's
road
4.
has to widen too
Yes,
after
that's
4.
right.
So, yeah, up to 4 you can be
Yeah,
single.
once you get that 5th lot in, then things
Then
change.
it has to be.
There is
secondary.
also a public road, Barracks Road or Islands Park Road, I'm not sure what it's called, but it comes, instead of coming down to the park, if you just keep going straight, it turns into a dirt road. Well, that is actually a public road and ends probably 2 lots before our property, so you would still, but if you could always use that, dip down and go in, and then you could come out on the track, so you could actually have your 2 exits on that same side, potentially. It's just an option. There's a number of options there. So.
So we might be asking for a letter from the committee to go in with that application, so just be aware of that.
Okay.
You mean just like a letter of support?
Yeah, a letter of support from the committee when we put the application in.
Next on the list is LFA 33 annual catch report, which I distributed to everybody by email. So I thought it was interesting. Obviously, it's what I've done for a living, but it is one of the major economic drivers in our community, in our area. Does everybody have one of those to look at? I just wanted to go over a couple little things that I thought were interesting. There has been, some discussion that we're seeing a downturn in the fishery, and there is some information to suggest that, but the level of that downturn is kind of what I want to put a little focus on. So the regional catch rates are listed on page 7. I don't know if anybody got to look at it.
Yeah.
And it's done by LFA, Lobster Fishing Area. So if you look at the bottom, we'll just go with these 34, 35, 36, and 38. These are all districts west of us. So this would 34 would be from Backrow Point moving west. And you can see since roughly 2015, the catch rate in that area has dropped off significantly, especially in 34. Not so bad in 35, which is the Digby area. 36 and 38 are kind of on par with 34. We're in District 33, so that runs from Backrow Point down to Pennant Point off of Sambro, just east of Sambro, I think.
Yeah.
But you'll see in our district in 33, that decrease in catch rate is not near as significant as it has been in these districts west of us. And moving east, other than we're seeing in 28, 29, and 30, they're slightly different down. But moving east, directly east of us, their catch rates are still in the incline. I think it's kind of important to see that that decrease is not as significant as it has been in other areas. Don't lose faith in lobster fishery just
But
yet.
do you think that has to do with their got bigger boats and stuff, or do you think it's
I do think that it's
bigger boats going further to the line, they say?
Well,
Or
they've
water
been there a while.
temperatures and all that stuff.
the exploitation rates, I think, have increased slightly that way because of effort, more to the west, but we're also doing a good job at fishing all of our district now. So I can't, I don't know exactly why those numbers are. I think climate change is one thing that, is a big focus on that. The water temperatures being warmer, longer in the summer. I know, summertime, we snorkel off my place and we used to be able to see lobsters right on the beach. Only in 2018, I bought my property in Harris Point, and you could go snorkeling and see the lobsters right next to the shoreline. But last summer, the summer before, you had to go out to 3 fathom of water, 15 to 20 feet of water where the temperature is cooler before you see those lobsters. So they're not in that shoaler water now because the water's too warm in the summer months. So I think that probably has something to do with, that's just my personal experience in a very small area, but it's
I
definitely
did hear
noticeable.
someone told me, again anecdotally, that they were seeing baby lobsters again closer to the shore. I don't know if that's
I know
true or
my-
not.
I know, please, I know we're being filmed. My kids put a minnow trap out in the harbor in front and they
A
caught a
minnow trap, just
Yeah.
say that louder.
No, it was a minnow trap, I swear it was, and they caught a lobster and I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, throw it back.
So for me, this is great.
I'm scared.
My family's in the lobster industry, so this is all great news to me. But from my perspective.
Well, in the 80s is when if you look at your chart, if you go back, that's when the big increases started for us. And we always were considered the wrong side of the tracks. But those numbers have changed, and of course, when we reached the peak, and I guess, there's people still into it, it was phenomenal, the growth and what we were seeing. The only thing that you have to somewhat caution, or I would, is that you look over the shoulder, we have the other districts west of us that are in that downward trend. Yeah, it's not as drastic, and I still think, I agree with you, Andrew, we have very healthy lobster fishery and need to look after it.
I've been in communication with one of the NOAA marine biologists in America, just on the research that they've done. And the indications are that environmental changes are causing migration. So when you look at the graphs here, it's making sense of the ones that are west of us. We had the biomass, the lobster biomass coming up the east coast into the Gulf of Maine. And then the heyday of 34 is now sort of dwindling as that biomass is moving east. So you can see like 31, 32, 33 are all still doing well because the biomass is there. And are probably maybe even going to increase further as the biomass moves there. But 34 and west of us, they're struggling. It's interesting. One of the topics that the biologist brought up was the problem is not just temperature, it's the Labrador Current, because the Labrador Current is what brought all the nutrients down. The Labrador Current is what comes right down the shore, the eastern shore, and then curls into the Gulf of Maine. That is being squeezed out by the Gulf Stream now, which has got fewer nutrients, warmer water coming up. And so that the concern is that those vital nutrients aren't getting into the Gulf of Maine. And that's where you're seeing 34, 35, and that's struggling. So that's, but for me, not a lobster guy at all or anything like that, you know, these are indications to me that economic diversity is important, and that whatever happens offshore, we need to make sure that onshore we're more secure.
That was where I was going from my perspective. It doesn't matter what
Balance,
our main industry is. Anything we're doing to diversify that is complementing that.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
also preparing us for any stability issues if we're seeing some downward spiral there. But I agree. I think our lobster fishery still has, you know, is still healthy for the time being. I think it would be remiss to ignore that other areas are seeing a big decline, and eventually we may start seeing that more substantially as well, but hopefully not for a very
No, we
long
may.
time.
The other thing I wanted to point out was the catch rate per unit of effort. CPUE stands for catch rate per unit of effort. You can see in our area, you know, off of Shelburne, Ingomar, and Lockport, the catch rate per unit of effort is actually
Higher,
lower.
lower.
So what does that mean, Andrew?
So, long story short, there's a lot of effort
Yeah.
in that area. Like there's
So a lot of licenses.
a lot
Yeah.
of traps
Right.
in
Concentration of effort.
a high concentration of effort in that area. So it would take a lot more for the catch rate per unit to be, we'd have to have a lot more lobster there than we'll
Okay.
say somewhere else.
We've had a migration
So you
of
got fewer boats
licenses.
catching.
No, we have a lot of boats catching, their catch per unit is less than other areas because there's so much effort there. And that, what happened with, you know,
It's like
a lot-
saturated with.
it's saturated with traps.
We had a migration of licenses from the east.
Exactly.
When we first experienced that climb and that shelf, we experienced it here, not so as you went like Liverpool, beyond and down in Sandbrook. Mind you, they have caught up. They didn't pursue the fishery as hard as what we did here. And of course, they looked at our catch rates of opportunity. People moved in and were getting licenses that were able to come from Sandbrook here or wherever.
Here.
So we had a migration of licenses to the area. By times, the FO had been asked or to take a look at it, and they would not put any limitations on movement of license within those districts. But what it has is what Andrew was saying, that catch per unit effort has been driven down. So actually wisely, you probably would do much better with less effort. We'll say from Lunenburg east, or Liverpool, but
And there has been some discussion at the advisory board around equal distribution of effort in the district. It's a very preliminary discussion, obviously, and it probably will never become much more than a discussion because, you know, the guys east of us now are very happy that there's only a handful of licenses left in some of those small ports, right? But, I mean, people are still kind of working their way to there. And you may even see those licenses in time start being bought up out of this area and returned back there.
it's almost like the gold rush. In fact, what had happened.
But there's not new licenses issued for,
No.
it's just the existing ones. that-
Existing.
It's where they're
I think
fishing
there's,
now.
forgive me, I know, there's 800 and some, I think, or nine. How many is there, Dale?
Oh, I heard that.
I don't know. It's 800 or 900.
Yeah, it may be
License.
900, I believe.
Yeah.
Andrew, one of the things that we don't see any statistics on, and I don't know if there are any, is how has the profitability of a license changed over time, let's say from 2015 to now, with the increasing cost and diesel and all the rest of it? How profitable is it now for a license owner to run a boat? Or, you know, are the margins getting tighter for captains, or is it still pretty good? Like, what's the economics like?
I'm not sure where we'd get all that information because DFO wouldn't have, let's say, the expense calculations for particular individuals. I mean, you could do it on your own, you know.
CRA.
You know, like I could do it myself, you know,
Yeah.
or an accountant firm would have that information for sure.
It's so,
I would definitely say there's definitely more expense. Expenses are rising faster than the market price of the product.
I think it's the level of investment is the crucial one. It takes so much more for traps, it takes so much more, the large scale costs in the boat.
Think of the
So when
cost
you
of
have
the
that
boat.
when you have that overhead that you have to finance is so large.
Yeah.
Those are the main crunches. And of course, how far you go.
Yeah.
Are you willing to stay in a 15-year-old boat, or do you want a brand new boat?
Just for an example, yesterday I picked up 100 new lobster traps. They're not the top, you could spend more money on them. They're not the biggest. $32,000 for 100 traps. So,
That's just the trap.
just for the trap.
That's not the line, those things.
That's a basic
Yeah.
income for a person.
Annual
It's
income.
just for 100. So if you have 375 traps and you replace all your traps.
Wowzers.
So yeah, that's what it costs.
So-
And I can remember since I've been doing this for 27 years, my first traps were $82 a piece.
Don't ask me what mine were.
You built your own.
Maybe $1.50 there.
For $90, for 25 cents, I could find the trap and the rope.
$10.
So as a captain now, what are your biggest challenges?
The biggest challenges. My biggest challenge would be to get my gear up and down with the conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, with other
Because it's
lines?
saturated.
Not necessarily, it's tough, like, there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys trying really hard, depending on that fishery for their livelihood.
Yeah.
You know, so
So you get a lot of cross lines?
it happens. I mean, guys do their best and,
Try not to
you
cut.
know, guys do their best, right? But, and most guys get along fine as Connie and you do, but it is something that takes a bit of effort. to be able to speak
A
to
few bad apples
Make a big
really
mess.
make it bad.
Yeah.
And all you need is a few,
Yeah.
and there always are some.
So you're just talking about guys that just cut the lines?
Well, whether it be cut the lines, just don't care,
So-
don't pay attention
Set
to
over
how
you.
they set. I mean, usually it's more or less a gentleman's agreement in the ports and areas that how they set the direction. So if I know I see a buoy, I know how it's going,
So you know where the
Very
other
close.
end is.
so I can avoid, and I don't want to be on top of Andrew because then we're going to share the catch. I'd rather be, but anyhow, people that come in, the hired guns, they just don't give a crap.
They don't have respect for other
No.
people.
Yeah. So just educate me here. Do you just have one buoy for a line, or do you have, well, two buoys?
One on each end.
Yeah, one on each end,
and
okay.
Anywhere from 10 to 25 pots.
Okay. So how long would that be?
The 10 pots.
That could depend too. Third of a mile, our offshore strings.
Third to a half.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to see where the other buoy is and what direction
You
it's
can't
going.
always see it, but if you know, if everybody's set in the same direction, and I know Dale's everybody puts a red balloon on their north end, and I know somewhere to the southern, following the bearing,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see another yellow balloon.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, so
Or
you
I'm
kind
gonna
of
see his
color
other
code
end,
them
which would
for
be,
that.
yeah. they're
And if I
colored.
keep it on one side, 50 yards or 100 yards, we'll say, then when I see it in sight, I'll just keep 100 yards away from the other end.
Yeah.
And generally, you're clear.
So if somebody cut you off, will you lose the whole string?
Not necessarily, you have two ends on that string, so if you just get cut once in the middle, you can pick up the other end.
The other end, but you've lost where they've cut it off, so
Well,
you
they
could
were just a
lose.
single cut, and
Okay.
you pick up both ends, slice it back
Okay.
together, that happens.
And if you have to, you can drill them.
And drag them back up too, which happens.
So I know we were talking, it was a couple of years ago when I think 34 and whatever big year, like when they started
35.
dropping off really hard, that we were having a conversation with someone that was talking about like your crewmen, like the banders and stuff who don't always, they're all sometimes a forgotten workforce. They don't always get accounted for, but all of the layoffs of the banders where they usually would stay on for 2 months, only had a week's worth of work, and it really was a loss not accounted for.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, like a lot of them don't always, like.
Subsidize their income.
Subsidize their income. But the layoff wasn't necessarily recorded.
No one talked about it.
Nobody talked about it, but it was an entire workforce that was out of income
Yeah.
for, yeah.
And it's very clear when our lobster fishermen and women do well, our community thrives.
Yeah.
Because they put so much back into the community. They take care of the community. They really do.
So that, I'm safe in saying probably, Andrew, the first 4 weeks of the season usually will be a doubling of the workforce.
Mhm.
I mean, and again, to that point of how much layoffs, talking to some of the guys in 34 last season, were 2 boats going as one, and 2 captains going instead of 2 crew members and a captain.
So is that happening?
Yes,
Yes, it is, yeah.
it did happen. And this last spring, it was pretty well.
So they're just sharing the cost of the diesel and stuff like that?
Yeah, they would haul,
It wasn't
one
enough.
captain haul one gear one day and then go with the other
Next
captain,
next.
and the crew was left for the summer.
Another interesting conversation, and maybe on a positive note, when one fishery declines, sometimes, not always, but often, another fishery will come in the place of it. So
Yeah.
last year in LFA 34, there was a extreme overabundance of Jonah crab. Normally, when there's a lot of lobster, you won't get those Jonah crab in the pot, in your traps, they won't crawl, or that species gets eaten by the lobster, right? And so, not to say that the Jonah crab fishery will offset the loss in the lobster fishery, but we may see other fisheries come behind. Certainly the codfish, they're still in a critical zone, but that fishery is definitely making a comeback. Those fisheries, there's way more codfish now than there has been in the past. So there may be some other fisheries that come behind that help. I'm not suggesting that they will.
Well, we
Yeah,
were
there has been
totally curious
discussion
about
about
that,
that.
actually. We were wondering, like, has the province invested any resources in doing a study on what alternative markets there could be? So as lobster declines, what other fisheries can step in that are going to be as profitable?
Yeah, I think there's been some discussion on underutilized
Definitely,
species.
with green
For
crab is
sure.
one that's on the go right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there definitely is lots of discussion.
Because your boats are pretty versatile, aren't they? You can-
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the Minister of Fisheries announced, or they had it, I think, coming in tonight, has been to China for the last week. Our minister,
Yeah.
provincial, to their big trade show. And they were quoting the numbers that we are exporting to China, which is pretty well getting to the point of being our largest export market for
I
lobster.
think they are.
But one thing I'd be remiss in not mentioning is I'm hearing that the district that opened just up in the Digby area is doing much better this year.
I heard they've
Very
been
good.
doing well.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
that's
think Grand Manan, the report was that they had good landings and good product.
So will that affect your guys' opening price?
It may, but catch more, make less, catch less,
Yeah.
make more. I also unofficially heard that the survey, what's it called, the molt survey, I think, is that what it's called? Yeah.
For soft shell, they.
So, yeah, they do a survey, so the catch rate in that was as high as it's ever been since 2016, which was one of the highest years. So.
Wow.
So that's related
it's
to
a positive
temperature, right?
indicator.
Is that related to temperature?
Related to temperature,
Molting is-
migrations, I mean, it could be, yeah, but molting is definitely related to temperature, yes.
Yeah.
we'll see
Sorry,
where
are
this
you, are you
goes.
getting the lobster molting later in the season?
Sometimes they'll molt twice.
Yeah.
Which can be a good thing if they molt soon enough before the season opens and they've grown twice that year. But if they molt too close to the opener, then you have soft shell product. So
Is there a market for soft shell?
there is, yeah, they all go to the cannery.
Which is cheaper, right?
Yeah, they go to the cannery. But normally our lobsters are bought by Crate Run, they're not called, they have been in other years, but not in recent years, so the buyers usually eat the difference unless that becomes really significant, in which case. Anyway, there's positive indicators, but there's certainly, I agree with you, there is a downturn to the west of us, but we're hearing some good numbers for.
Is there a hard time getting people to work? Like, I'm thinking last season, you always seen them looking for hired help banders, but like, is that one of the issues right now?
I mean, I haven't, personally, that hasn't been an issue, but, you see that every year. Someone, you take a guy, Drew goes with me and he doesn't feel well and he can't make it the next day, so I'm looking for a bander or whatever the case may be. That's a common thing to see. No. No, that was an example. I just said that. You pick a guy.
did not know that when we appointed you.
No, right, so that's not uncommon to see guys looking for guys,
Didn't know you were gonna get a job with
Yeah,
this too.
exactly.
I'm sorry, I had to clarify that. That sounded like he didn't
I think
know.
locally, our last season was still really, pretty good.
Yeah.
So people aren't,
And people come from
Scared
all
to
over. I
fish
know
it. They do.
Colton had come home for 3 weeks. He went banding.
Yeah.
He takes vacation, come home and went banding.
I wish I could do it.
Yeah.
a lot of young people come from
I'd be
Prince
sick
Edward
the
Island.
minute you
Yes.
hold off that
Calm
war.
down.
The risk of, it takes more than the risk of. The only, one question I will raise, I wonder what our foreign workers, the immigration thing is going to do. Because the plants have been utilizing a lot of the foreign workers. And, I really feel bad on some of their instances. They've been good workers. And a lot of them have started into communities. I think of Ingomar, they're in the fire departments.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're doing more so all the time, and they're excellent workers.
There.
They want to bring their families.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how much we've pulled the rug out from under that function, and I don't know if it's worth, I get wanting our young people to work. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink.
You could,
But, it's unfortunate if you have good workers that want to come and integrate their families.
There's a problem in the system, right? So right
Yeah.
now in Nova Scotia, there's, I think, something like 15,000 immigrant workers that are on work permits. There's only, I think, 1,000 spots available for permanent placement. So all of those people, the 13,000, they can't bring their families because they don't know if they've got a permanent spot. So that's why they don't have their families here.
Yeah.
And at the end of their work permit, they don't even know what the outcome is. They got to get on a plane and leave.
Yeah.
And they can't come back.
It's a messed up system.
Yeah. And we take advantage of that. And I think it's a crappy system.
I've heard of, and you've probably heard the same story of ones that were taken advantage of. And they pushed back, and actually they weren't allowed to leave one and go to another, even though they weren't made to, I mean, it's ludicrous that,
there also was a time that, and I have no problem with foreign workers, so please don't take that away from this, but there also was a time that all those jobs were done by local
yeah,
people.
definitely.
And, the federal government subsidizes a lot of the workers there, and so.
Well, in a way, and maybe I'm wrong too, but we were subsidized too, like the local people, because then we'd be on EI when those jobs weren't available, right?
Yeah,
So it was
that's true.
subsidized.
But they use those jobs to get their hours for
Yes.
their EI, so now both of those things are.
I don't agree with the subsidy part. The availability and somebody that wants to work, we should have a system that should be able to accommodate somebody that wants to come in and work.
Absolutely.
And we should be, I'm sorry, I'll be frank, somebody doesn't need to be coddled if they don't want to work. I think we should be doing less support for them.
I agree.
Okay.
Just as a note, just because the committee's new, I think it's a good time to bring up the fact that if topics are coming up at the table, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that, I mean, municipal council has no overarching authority over immigration, but they do have a role for advocacy. So if there's ever topics coming up at the table that you want to see your municipal council advocating for, you can certainly put forth those recommendations and motions, and you can take that to municipal council. So I just wanted to throw that out there, not particularly for this issue, but any issues that come up like that.
A good case in point would be that how many did we have responded about hospitals? It's not our jurisdiction, it's not our responsibility, but
It's
we're leading
45%.
advocacy
Yeah,
for all of it.
yeah, but we
You know,
have
and they're one of the leading comments that we have.
A community, it was 40, almost half.
almost half said that
is
was their number one
healthcare,
priority,
healthcare.
was
And-
healthcare, but
All we really
Municipal government
have
has
is
no-
advocacy in that.
municipal
Which we
government
do.
has no jurisdiction in healthcare services, but we do have a role
We,
to play.
yeah,
so
we
that's-
do have a role to
Yeah.
play, even though it's a provincial responsibility. The municipality and our residents do have a role to play and to try to ensure that we have the best healthcare
It's
services
our
for
main
the
interest,
community.
really.
Sure.
So
So we're doing everything that
Yeah.
we can.
I've always said,
to
if
do
you
that.
say it's only a provincial responsibility and you don't want to be involved in that on a municipal level, then you have to accept where they put you on the priority list. So usually municipal councils will jump in and say, although it's not our jurisdiction, we want to push for this, or we want to have some support or involvement in this
Well, we've
issue, so.
always said, you know,
Yeah.
to say that it's not our responsibility does not help that little baby at 3 o'clock in the
No.
morning get down at ER when it's
Yeah.
open
Yeah.
to get the care
Yeah.
that it needs,
Yeah.
or he or she
So there's
needs,
always a role for municipal council,
yes.
even if it's not necessarily our directors.
The healthcare thing's getting blurry, right? And what I mean
Yeah,
by
it is.
that is that it used to be purely provincial.
Yeah.
But some municipalities have got fed up with the poor service. Like Clare have built their own magnificent clinic, and the doctors have flocked to it, right? Barrington have now built theirs. And so that puts a strain on us, right? Because we're not doing that, we're relying on the province. And they're not coming up, right? And so the doctors that are flocking to those communities are doctors that we can't get. And so it creates a have and have not situation. It's a difficult circumstance.
And you're gonna see the same with housing initiatives. It's not only a provincial issue anymore, it's trickling down into your municipalities. There's an on-the-ground issue that has to be dealt with, so.
Okay, that was a great discussion. So, under the in-camera,
So we'll have to motion to go in
Motion.
camera.
okay, excuse me, can I have a motion to go in camera?
So moved.
I'll second it.
We offline.